that person. Master of Ceremonies, the Honourable Don Meredith, Senator, the Honourable Julie Screw, beg your pardon, no pun intended, Member of the Provincial Parliament, other members of the political leadership here in Toronto or Ontario, Mr. Lloyd Wilkes, our Consul General of Jamaica to Toronto, and I saw former Consul General Mr. Seth Romakan was there earlier. I want to recognize him in his absence. I also take this opportunity to recognize the members of the clergy who are here in their numbers. Mr. Vivian Scully, Jamco's Regional Manager and Consul, Trade. And I already acknowledged Mrs. Valerie Steele, so I acknowledge Mr. Leo Campbell, who is the Diaspora Advisory Board member. And distinguished ladies and gentlemen, my fellow Jamaicans, it is a pleasure for me to be here again in Toronto. And I am told that I have brought warm weather here. Granted, there's a little rain, but we'll consider it a blessing. It's not a storm that we're in. But it's my absolute pleasure to be back here in the city of Toronto and to promote the Diaspora conference. It is a conference here, but I cannot in any way be criticized as only coming to Toronto or to Canada when a conference is imminent. Because I was here last year in July when we had a very successful health forum that was led by Kingsley Gilliam, and I know that Valerie also played a very significant role, and Philip Maskell, my friend who is here, also played a very significant role in that conference. I also want to recognize Mr. Rose from the JTB, because as you all know, tourism is very important, and I was very pleased when I see all the hands that went up about the people who went back to Jamaica as often as they did. You didn't clap yourselves because you were in the air, so please give yourself a round of applause. But it demonstrates the level of commitment that Jamaicans have to Jamaica. And, you know, I must confess that I was a little bit conflicted in terms of how to begin my salutations. I don't even know if the PA system, but this one sounds very heavy, will allow me to do something that I don't normally do, but I will try to see if it will work this time. I think it deserves another play. Let's do that again.
Greetings, Massive.
And in case you did not recognize the voice, that is none other than the President of the United States of America, President Barack Obama. And the fact is, I was supposed to be here in Toronto a week earlier, but quite frankly, there's no way that the first black president of the United States of America could be in Jamaica, and as Minister of State for Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade, I'm anywhere else except in Jamaica. I want to say to you, without any water in my mouth or any doubt in my mind, that the President was extremely satisfied in terms of the reception he received in Jamaica. And if there's any doubt in anybody's mind about the fact that Jamaica is capable of operating at a very high level, I want to tell you that the Secret Service said that the security forces that they work with in Jamaica were the best that they have ever worked with anywhere else in the entire world. They go further. They said that a visit that would normally take 3 months to organize and assemble, Jamaica took 3 weeks to do it. And I want to go further because there are some people who criticize this visit, some people who nitpick about certain things, whether it is a state visit or it is a working visit. Whether it is a working visit or a state visit, it is a visit by the head of state of the United States of America. Who, in him rest, the head of state, the head of government, the chief diplomat of his country, and he's also the head of the armed forces. You don't need anything more than that. And I go further. He did not have to visit Jamaica. The Summit of the Americas was being held in Panama. He could have flown directly there to Panama, sat down there and meet bilaterally with our Prime Minister and meet with the CARICOM heads, but he decided that he was going to make it to Jamaica, and he didn't only come there, he overnighted there and stayed in the Kingston Pegasus Hotel. And he took all of his, as we would say in Jamaica, his accoutrements. All of 40 vehicles, 700 staff members, Air Force One, Marine One, Marine Two. So for those persons who want to focus on the petty issues, there's a bigger issue. Because it signals to the world and to the region that Jamaica is important to the world. And that Jamaica's culture is world class. It is not by accident that the first place the president visited unscheduled was the Bob Marley Museum. And it's not coincidental that on Air Force One, he was speaking about Exodus, movement of a people. That is what he was saying on Air Force One. His words, not my own. So if we have any doubt about the cultural relevance of Jamaica, I think it's time that we disabuse ourselves of this doubt. And I'm speaking very feelingly, because the reality is that the people who need to be bullish about Jamaica are Jamaicans. And it's time we recognize the value that we have, the value that the world places on us, the leadership that the world look to Jamaica for. Because again, it is not by accident that he came to Jamaica. He came there because the United States needed to demonstrate to the region that they have a vested interest in the region, and they did that by coming to Jamaica. So I didn't only receive the president, but I received all the heads of government of the 15 CARICOM nations. Every last one of them were in Kingston, Jamaica, to meet with the President of the United States of America. Let me put it into further context for you. He went to Trinidad and Tobago. You know why? Because they hosted the Summit of the Americas in Trinidad and Tobago. And I'm not saying anything about my friends in Trinidad and Tobago. right? But I'm underscoring the point. We weren't holding a summit of Americans, right? And let me tell you something. He was at home. He was at home. And when you play that clip, you will recognize his long time he wants to say, Wagwan Jamaica. But he never wanted to say it anywhere. He wanted to say it on the rock to a Jamaican audience. And what better place to say it at the University of the West Indies to young people in Jamaica, to young leaders in Jamaica, to inspire them to greatness. Big up you. I want to say to us that Jamaica large, and we have to behave as if we are large. And it is time that we come into our own. And my message is simple. Coming into our own requires Jamaicans at home and Jamaicans abroad to work together. That is what it means. And that is why the conference is critically important. Because it allows us to sit down, to dialogue as a family, and to say, how can we make and continue to make Jamaica great? Because Jamaica is great. We need to understand that. When you see the President of the United States doing the bold pose, you know, say Jamaica, right? And I tell you that our contribution in the world is significant. And I've said it time and time again, and I repeat it, that every social movement for positive change, Jamaica has been at the forefront of that movement. Marcus Garvey led the way. And some people are taking on the president about the Marcus Garvey issue and pardoning him. Well, we still have some time left in office. Make we see. Right? Let us see. Nothing before it's time. And the reality is that this president is a very strategic president because he waited until they couldn't touch him to say, all right, look here, this 50 years of embargo with Cuba is old story, we need to know about the business. And important is the role that Jamaica has played. Because Jamaica, before it was popular, said that this was an unjust situation, it needed to change. So we as Jamaicans have pride of place and we can take ownership of this positive movement that has taken place in our region. And therefore, when we go to the Summit of Americas, we can hold our head high when Cuba is at the table for the first time in more than 50 years. Because the foreign policy of Jamaica said that this was unjust and it needed to be overturned. And if we go through the history books, Martin Luther King came to Jamaica because he was inspired by the people of Jamaica. Simon Bolivar, who is a great liberator in Latin America and Central America, came to Jamaica, wrote a letter from Jamaica, left Jamaica, went to Haiti. And we talk about Haiti. Is a Jamaican that brought independence to Haiti in 1804 called Bookman Dutty. Read the history. Read the history. Very important. So the fact of the matter is that we Jamaicans have our destiny within our hands. The question is, what are we doing with it? That's the question. So I think all of us inside this room have an obligation and are discharging that obligation by remaining true to Jamaica and by supporting